Today we are going to talk about M1 MacBook Air. Specifically, why didn't I switch to M2 MacBook Air or to MacBook Pro? And let me just be honest with you out of the gate. I don't do anything crazy on my computer, but I run YouTube channel, I test cameras, and I process RAW files, a lot of RAW files, and I edit videos. So I would never ever before think that I would use an ultra portable laptop that small without a fan to do all of that. And to give you a little bit of perspective, I was using before a full-size tower with NVIDIA RTX 3060 and I don't remember, some of i7 processors of 10th or 11th generation. So I came from that, background and suddenly I found MacBook Air M1 to be a sufficient computer to do all the tasks. But the question is, why didn't I switch to M2? Alright, so here are a couple of reasons. First reason, just this computer is just enough for me for the moment. So what kind of files do I process? For example, to show you hard proofs. Sometimes I process crazy RAW files, I was testing GFX 50 recently, and this is as far as I remember, 15 megapixel medium format camera. And you can see for yourself that editing those photos is easy, no problems. I do not have to wait too much, everything is super responsive, and I'm usually quite messy when I work. I have a lot of things opened and it just works, as you can see. When it comes to export speeds, okay, M2 Macs do export files faster. However, when I work in real life, it's like in tests, it's true. However, in real life, when I work, I like to take coffee breaks, tea breaks, and just breaks for the sake of breaks, because working all time is not very effective. So to me, if the export of files lasts 1 or 2 minutes more, it doesn't change too much. Specifically that in most real-life cases, while exporting photos, I can respond to emails, to messages, to do other stuff. And in this particular case, M1 MacBook Air is still very responsive. So while processing or exporting, not processing, but while exporting photos, I can still easily switch to, Gmail and answer my email, no problem at all. Second usage scenario is video editing. So I mostly edit videos that I record with that camera that is recording me right now, and this is A7 Mark IV, 10 bits, 4K, 4:2. That's the file I'm recording in 30 frames per second, and DaVinci Resolve is my to-go editing software, and it works fine. As you can see for yourself, I'm recording the screen, which takes a lot of power from this little MacBook, and still I can, without any problems, use DaVinci Resolve. I just drop the resolution of the preview to half, I edit in 1080p, and then I just bump it up to 4K for the export, and that's it. And again, export of the files takes longer, that's true, but again, it's a beautiful time to take a break. And if I want to do something, literally today, while exporting one video for the channel I work with, Polish channel, I basically could create a thumbnail for it in Photoshop, and it still worked. The recording doesn't show you the render time accurately, because if I'm recording screen recording, I would have to set my computer and show you how that works, and actually not computer, my camera, and show you how that works. Actually, I can do that. So you can see for yourself that rendering is really smooth, and this is 4K 10 bits 4:2. So first of all, I do not have a real need to upgrade. If there's something tempting, would be something tempting to upgrade, that would be SD card reader. And that's something I really miss in MacBook Air. In the first generation, this Intel generation of MacBook Air, they included SD card reader, and I would love it to come back. You only have SD card readers in full-size Mac Studio, or, I mean, not full-size because it's still small, or, you know, MacBook Pro. However, you know, just having this dongle with me, I just got used to it. It's just SD card reader. You know, I bought a small dongle with USB-C plug, and it solves the problem without any, you know, issues or whatsoever. The other issue I came across with is like, you know, just 2 Thunderbolt ports. However, that is, for my scenarios, totally enough for 90% of use when I have this Mac unplugged, because I also have Thunderbolt dock that I will talk about later. So when I'm in the field, like in a cafe, and I want to just download from files from the camera to external hard drive, that's enough. Basically, that's enough. And you might say, well, what about charging? You know, battery life in this little thing is so good that most of the times I don't charge it anymore in cafes. I just leave it unplugged, do my stuff, and that's totally enough to do everything I wanted and just go back to my home studio here and just plug it in. So basically, ports, enough ports. But while speaking about ports, you have 2 Thunderbolt ports, and I have Thunderbolt dock. You know, this call digit T5, I think it's called. And you know, when I plug my MacBook to this Thunderbolt dock, it basically turns into, you know, Studio Beast. It does have a card reader, display port, a lot of USB-Cs, a lot of USB 3.0s, just plenty of ports. However, what I find to be a problem on M1 MacBook Air is that ports are slightly underpowered. So if you plug too many devices there, it can cause some problems. Or for example, while you're copying files, like you have a lot of disks plugged in and you're copying files, that might cause some problems. Basically, you know, like you can get some error and no copying anymore, which is not good. However, that's very rare, and I just learned to plug in only disks that I really need, and usually this is 2 disks on this Thunderbolt dock and just SD card, and that's it. I don't need anything more, and that's totally sufficient. And I guess that for most of you guys out there, it's totally sufficient. Another reason why I didn't switch to M2 is that M2 MacBooks Air have slower file transfers. Yes, half. Basically, there's 1 less chip inside of this computer, so basically it is slower when it comes to file transfers. And that's very crucial for me because, like, I transfer a lot of files and I want to have very good speed there. So M1 is just doing a better job for me in that case. So I don't need it. If I want to switch to M2, the main reason I would do that is brighter screen. It's 500 nits instead of 300 nits like I have on MacBook Air M1. However, having said that, it's not a big deal because when I work in studio, like I have good light conditions here and I don't need more than 300 nits. The screen is actually quite color accurate. I would love to have a little brighter screen when I work outside. It's not a big deal in most cases, but you know, in a very bright, but in cafes usually it's not that bright, you know? Maybe outside when I want to edit on the beach, but I don't do that. That would be way too dark. But I mean, too bright outside and the screen would be too dark. But even 500 nits, I'd say it wouldn't be enough for that kind of scenarios. But who does that anyway? Anyways, so that would be the main reason, brighter screen. The other reason is redesign. I love the new design and the new color. I would love to have it, but it's something that didn't convince me enough just to, you know, like, okay, that's something I'm gonna spend money on. So basically, to give you a hint, I read some rumors that Apple is coming out with M1, M3 MacBook Air, and probably that would be the MacBook Air that I'll be looking at. And I really hope that they will bring the SD card reader back to this MacBook, but let's see how that goes. Anyways, M1 MacBook Air is doing a great job for me. It's totally enough. It's very slim, very small, very light, and I would never before think that I would do everything in my studio with my YouTube channel and with my professional work, like photography work and video work, on a computer that doesn't even have a fan. That's pretty ridiculous, but it really, really works. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think about M1 MacBook Air. Is it still sufficient for you? And one very important prop tip, if you are about to buy this still available MacBook, please don't forget to buy the 16 GB version. I didn't mention it at the beginning because I use 16 GB version. Everything else is basic, but take 16 GB of RAM because that helps a lot in more complex and complicated tasks. So once again, please don't forget to leave thumbs up, subscribe, and I see you guys in the next one.